Praise the Lord. Bwana asifiwe. Once again, welcome to Holistic Wellness Show on God of Wonders TV. I thank God for the opportunity to share every other time. Holistic Wellness Show is about our wellness. It's about just being able to be stable in our mind, in our body and spirit, because they all affect how we live. When our body is not fine, of course, physically we will be sick. When our mind is not stable, we will have, of course, we may even have physical illnesses. And of course, again, when we are not stable in our spirit, or we are not connected well in our spiritual wellness, of course, again, it affects our well-being. So Holistic Wellness Show exists to just be able to create more awareness on how can I be able to live a holistic life. Yeah, so holistic wellness will help us to become more productive. We will become more aware of the environment, or even interacting with people better. Of course, one of the things that happens is that our relationships become more healthy. We relate with people better. Our productivity increases, because remember, our wealth is in the networks that we keep. But when then our mind or our mental wellness, or even our spiritual wellness is not okay, we are not able to relate with people the way we ought to. So holistic wellness will benefit us in so many ways. The greatest one, of course, is also being able to connect with God and getting to know who He is and the promises that He has kept for each and every one of us. So when we talk about all these areas on Holistic Wellness Show, it is an opportunity just to be able to live a productive life. So today, once again, we'll be talking about mental wellness. The focus now for the next few weeks will be on mental wellness. We talked about depression, managing depression. We talked about stress and stress management. So today we'll be talking about a common mental disorder called bipolar disorder. Bipolar disorder is a depressive disorder. It's part of depression. It is almost the same as depression, but now it has its unique characteristics. Of course, it's called manic. It's also given another name, manic depression. So bipolar disorder, we were saying that it's a manic depression. Of course, it's another name. It's a mental illness that brings severe high and low moods. So what is normally affected most when someone has the bipolar disorder is their mood. So there is a lot of mood swings, and there is a high mood swings. So you can be overly excited, you can be overly activated. I mean, you're so excited about everything, and then all of a sudden, then again, you're very low. So that is what it's characterized with. And of course, there is change in sleep. Energy levels may go very down, or they may go very high again, and then again it distorts our thinking and behavior. Now, how our thinking is distorted is that sometimes you realize there is a thought process that is not very well structured, or you may also be having hallucinations or seeing things that don't exist, and again also behavior, how a person behaves when they have bipolar. Allow me again to just explain a little bit on what can I be able to just see and know maybe somebody is having a challenge with bipolar. There is the mood. What we were talking about, mood swings, the highs and the low. Now, when it is the high, they are overly excited, very active, maybe laughing a lot, talking too much, and endless. I mean, a continuous conversation without an end. Then there is the issue of, again, the person can just be laughing and just excited. Then within a very short time, they go very low. They close themselves in. They don't want to talk to anyone. And when they are sad, they are completely sad. Sometimes even when you engage them in a conversation, somebody does not want to talk at all. And they're even struggling to make a statement. Those are the highs and the lows. So in the area of energy, again, when it is the high, there is a lot of energy. They can be able to do so much. Even if it's working in the house, they will do almost everything. And then all of a sudden, then again, the moods go down and their energy levels go down, and they are not able to concentrate even in doing anything. Then there is, of course, the thinking patterns that are affected. So when they talk about things, there is no, it's not a coherent thinking pattern. It's scattered thoughts all over the place. And of course, again, there is a little bit of manic. There is a little bit of not very clear thoughts. Or they are talking about, or somebody can maybe start telling you that they can see like snakes in the house, or they are seeing somebody taking them away, or maybe they may be talking about seeing a hole before them. So those are some of the things that you hear a person who has bipolar bring in their conversation. So people who have bipolar disorder can have periods in which they feel overly happy and energized, and other periods of feeling very sad, hopeless, and sluggish. Now, that's what I was able to explain on that. So, the manic describes the times when someone with bipolar disorder feels overly excited and confident. These feelings can also involve irritability. They can become very irritated on very simple matters. You see that they get very irritated. They can be impulsive or reckless decision making. When someone is having bipolar, there is a likelihood of that person making very decisions. Sometimes most of them will be involved in things like alcohol, overly addictions in alcohol, issues of even sexual promiscuity, because remember, they are not able to reason well. So the mind has been affected because of that manic episodes. So even believing things that aren't true and that they can be talked about. Of course, they are telling you things that they are so sure about them because their thought process has been affected. And then again, there is the hallucinations, seeing or hearing things. You hear somebody telling you that somebody is calling me, and I can hear them call me. I remember there is a case I was dealing with, and this young girl, every time she would, when it's around midnight, she would always wake up and say somebody is calling her at the rooftop. They were staying, I think, on third floor of a building, and she would always want to go up to the fifth floor because she was saying someone is calling them there, and they are so sure about that person calling them, and they will have to wake up and go. So those are some of the ways you can be able to understand bipolar. I am explaining this because these are things that many people are struggling with now. Depression, excessive depression is a risk factor of somebody experiencing bipolar. And remember, we said also stress and how we manage the stress is also a way that predisposes somebody again to bipolar. So they are so much connected to one another. And there is the hypomania, which describes milder symptoms of mania in which someone does not have delusions or hallucinations, and their high symptoms do not interfere with their everyday life. So hypomania is when the hallucinations and the manic behavior. I hope you have understood the mania. So they are not as expressive as it is now when somebody is hypermanic. Of course, and you are able to go about your daily activities well. So the symptoms, of course, of bipolar are highly connected. They are almost the same as those of depression. So of course there is that hopelessness, there is suicidal, but now this one, there is the additional of the hallucinations and the manic behavior. So there are types of bipolar. There is bipolar 1 disorder. This type, you have extreme erratic behavior with manic up periods that last at least a week or so, severe that you need medical care. Now remember, when we talked about the manic, you're seeing images, or you're talking, or you're hearing voices, or you're not, and those extremes that we talked about. Now, somebody being able to be in that state for a whole week, that can be very scary, even for the people that they are with, because clearly, of course, and I feel like that is what sometimes we call somebody is mad, in quote, because they are not. They are just sick. So these are also usual extreme downs periods that last at least 2 weeks. So if a person is undergoing what I have just mentioned, that bipolar 1 disorder, which is characterized by manic behavior and of course extreme lows, which continues for over a week, that person needs to be on medication. Medication is important, but any mental health issue, it is important to always combine it with therapy. Sometimes we emphasize on the medication. We give medication and we are not able to handle the therapeutic area, that is counseling. What happens is the real cause, we are not able to touch the root of what caused that depression in the first place. We will be able to manage the brain and the functioning of the brain, but we will leave the emotional and the feelings not worked on, which when we are able to combine the two, the healing becomes faster. It comes faster than we would have expected if we only used medication. So it is important to be on medication, but when someone has relaxed and they are able to have a conversation, please make sure that you get therapeutic sessions, therapy sessions with trained counselors that can be able to manage and handle the root cause of the depressive disorders, that is the bipolar. So there is the bipolar 2 disorder. With this type, you also have erratic highs and lows, but it isn't as extreme as bipolar 1. So of course it may not have the manic, the issue of hallucinations. It may not be as extreme. It may not be as high. Then there's clitothymic disorder. This type involves periods of manic and depressive behavior that last at least 2 years in adults or 1 year in children and teens. The symptoms aren't as intense as bipolar disorder or bipolar 2 disorder. So the depressive reactions would take a whole year. We are talking of the clitothymic disorder that will take 2 years in adults or 1 year in children. Again, this can only be intervened with medication. I know sometimes when we listen to these complicated words and all, there's the fear and and the hopelessness that comes. But allow me to say every mental health issue can be intervened. There is an intervention for all, with the proper medication and medication at the right time, and also being able to get therapeutic attention at the right time. So some of the symptoms of mania is excessive happiness, hopelessness, and excitement. I hope we get this, because this is the indicator of bipolar. Then there is sudden change from being joyful to being irritated, angry, and hostile. So the same person who was very happy, very excited, again turns and becomes very depressed, angry, irritated. So anything you tell them, they are irritated very fast. And of course, there is restlessness, there is rapid speech, and poor concentration. So somebody speaks so very fast, and of course you can be sure when you are speaking to them, they are not listening. So there is a lot of poor concentration, increased energy, and less need for sleep. Again, sleep is affected. You realize that is another indicator for what we talked about, depression. And then there is, I remember I talked about the issue of being sexually promiscuous during the bipolar. There is usually high sex drive when somebody is having the challenge of bipolar. So again, there needs to be a lot of help and support during that time. Making unrealistic plans. Of course, showing poor judgment. There is drug and alcohol abuse. Again, a person who has bipolar, now it is not the way you choose to take alcohol. It is the desire to take it is so high that person can only be restricted by the support system around them. The same thing with the sexual drive. So you have to really be present to hinder them from taking those decisions, because remember, when they are making that decision, their mind is not sober enough to make that judgment. Then there is less need for sleep. Somebody can stay a whole night without sleeping. There is low appetite. There is less sense of confidence and well-being, so they are not confident about anything because they are easily distracted. They cannot be able to concentrate on one particular thing that they are doing. During the depressive periods, that is the lows, a person with bipolar disorder may have sadness. Now this is when they are low, loss of energy, feelings of hopelessness or worthlessness, not enjoying things they once liked, trouble concentrating, forgetfulness. There is talking slowly. Of course, even the words are not coming. Remember, I said even the desire to talk is not there at all. The inability to feel pleasure, uncontrollable crying. They can just cry without anything having happened to them. You just meet them crying continuous. There is trouble making decisions. There is irritability. Irritability is a great indicator. And of course, that one of not being able to talk, the issue of sleep, those are indicators of bipolar. Then thoughts of death or suicide, and then attempting. There is a lot of suicide ideations in a person with bipolar. So what are the causes of bipolar disorder? Again, there is no single cause. Just like we said with depression, there is nothing like you can be cited that this is the first thing that will cause. Of course, the issue of genetics. Maybe if someone in the family had bipolar, there is a person may be predisposed to that mental illness. We'll talk about issue of stress or having gone through anything that is traumatic. Remember, trauma can come from accidents, trauma can come from even catastrophes that happen, floods, war, things that happen around us, and sometimes they leave us with a lot of trauma, death of a loved one, or experiencing somebody being killed. Such things would expose somebody to bipolar. So some of the things that make you more likely to have bipolar disorder include having a family member with bipolar, going through a time of high stress or trauma. I've explained that. Then there is the issue of drug and substance abuse. If people who are in addiction are highly predisposed to bipolar. So again, people who have gone through drug and substance abuse and they are recovering, they will be highly affected by this disorder. Then some health conditions would predispose somebody to bipolar. So how can I be able to experience care? How can I be able to get care? Of course, talk to someone, talk to friends and family. Make sure you see a doctor, a mental health doctor, but don't only see a doctor, make sure you also seek counseling sessions that will be able to treat the bipolar and be able to heal, so that you can be able to deal with the root. So there is good medical care, there is medication, talk to a therapist, lifestyle change. That is, if you are into too much of alcohol and drug addiction, change that lifestyle. Change again also of diet, making sure that you are eating well, sleep patterns, making sure that you are also physically fit. One of the healing for mental health illnesses is again what I talked about, physical exercise. Sometimes it is not considered as an intervention for mental health issues, but being able to be physically active supports mental health a lot. So it is important to be physically fit. Of course, there are medications that are there which I will not talk about, because that is supposed to be prescribed by the doctor. Of course, there are antidepressants, anti-anxiety medication, all that will be able to help in the treatment. And we've talked about psychotherapy, just being able to go through psychotherapy, psychoeducation like the one we are doing here, just being able to understand what is this that I am going through. There are electroconsultative therapy, ECT, that gives, of course, that again is done by the psychiatrist. The ECT help to just stabilize the brain functioning. There is a lot of things that we can be able to do. So what are some of the lifestyle changes that may also help? We talked regular exercise, eating patterns, sleep patterns. Make sure you recognize your mood swings. Be able to understand, is there any change in your mood swings? Get support from friends and groups. Being able to be in a support group where you can be able to talk about what you're going through is also very supportive. Keep symptoms journal. Make sure you write how you feel. It also helps a lot. Learn to manage stress. Find healthy hobbies or sports. Don't use drugs or alcohol to manage any form of stress, because you'll be predisposing yourself to more problems. So those are some of the things that we can talk about bipolar. I hope we've been able to get maybe a picture of what it is, because I know there's a lot of conversation on the same. Some people self-diagnose themselves. I've met people who come and tell me I am bipolar, and sometimes when you listen to them, clearly they don't have a single symptom of bipolar. Or you may go and somebody, just because they heard about bipolar somewhere, and someone will tell you that you have bipolar when really you may not be having it. So it is important to make sure that the diagnosis has only been done by a medical doctor and not any other person, because you may even start medication which is wrong, which is not the right medication, because you have maybe self-medicated yourself. This is not a condition you want to even just take medication randomly. So it is important to know, again, just as we are talking about mental wellness, a person who has bipolar is not physically fit. That person is not mentally well. So they need a lot of support, they need a lot of care and treatment so that they can be able to live a productive life. So this was a holistic wellness show on God of Wonder TV. Again, share with your loved ones, share with friends, share this information. I believe it is going to help somebody somewhere. We are living in a time when there is a lot of mental health issues in our community. So just sharing this video may be able to help somebody who may be struggling in a certain way, and they may be able to get a deeper understanding of what it is they are going through. Or maybe if you see someone or you are the one going through it, you can know, how do I navigate through this? But even as we do this, allow me to say that there is hope, a lot of hope. It is not an hopeless situation. It is not a condition that cannot be managed. It's something you can completely heal from as long as you take up the right guidelines given and seek professional help. So may the Lord bless you so much. See you next Tuesday. God bless you.